Have you ever pondered why some nations bask in prosperity, while others grapple with extreme poverty? The world is a vast tapestry of economic disparity, where a select few luxuriate in abundance, while many others languish in destitution. This year, 2023, has highlighted 10 nations that bear the brunt of this economic divide. These countries, Liberia, Chad, Malawi, Niger, Mozambique, Democratic Republic of Congo, Somalia, Burundi, South Sudan, and Central African Republic, struggle under the weight of numerous challenges. From the throes of civil wars, to the clutches of corruption, weak rule of law, and severe climate conditions, these nations are often caught in a tumultuous cycle of poverty. The COVID-19 pandemic has only exacerbated these issues, reversing progress and pushing an estimated 198 million people into extreme poverty. The face of these challenges is particularly prominent in Africa, where all 10 of these poorest countries are located. In this video, we will delve into the economic situations and the challenges faced by each of these 10 countries. Liberia, a country in West Africa, has been grappling with a myriad of economic challenges. Amidst the echoes of civil wars and the shadow of corrupt governance, Liberia's economic landscape is a stark testament to the struggles it endures. The scars of ethnic and sectarian strife are etched deep into the nation's fabric, impacting not just social harmony but also economic progress. The rule of law, often considered the backbone of a flourishing economy, is fragile and weakened in Liberia. This creates an environment where corruption thrives, further deepening the economic chasm. The exploitative nature of colonization has left a lasting impact, with the nation still striving to regain its footing. Liberia's battle with these economic adversities is further exacerbated by severe climate conditions, making agricultural productivity a challenge. These struggles are not just numbers on a page, they are the lived realities of the Liberian people trying to carve out a life amidst the turbulence. The road ahead is certainly not easy. With resilience and global support, Liberia continues its fight against these economic odds. Liberia's journey towards economic stability remains fraught with hurdles. Moving to Central Africa, we find Chad, another nation wrestling with economic hardship. This country, rich in cultural diversity, is unfortunately also rich in struggle. The economic situation in Chad is a tapestry woven with threads of civil unrest, corruption, and severe climate conditions. The country is grappling with internal conflicts and political instability, creating an environment that is far from conducive to economic growth or prosperity. On top of this, corruption is rampant, further undermining the nation's economic potential. But the trials of Chad don't end there. The country is also at the mercy of Mother Nature. Severe climate conditions, including frequent droughts, have wreaked havoc on Chad's agricultural sector, which is the backbone of its economy. This has resulted in food insecurity and increased poverty, creating a vicious cycle that the country is struggling to break. Yet, despite these challenges, the spirit of resilience is evident in the Chadian people. They continue to strive for a better future, in a world that often seems stacked against them. Chad's path to economic prosperity seems steep and rocky. Malawi, a landlocked nation in southeastern Africa, bears the weight of significant economic difficulties. This nation, known as the warm heart of Africa, faces a cold reality. Corruption, a pervasive issue, eats away at the country's progress, diverting resources that could otherwise be used to lift its people from poverty. Severe climate conditions, including erratic rainfall and droughts, wreak havoc on the agricultural sector, the backbone of Malawi's economy. This not only impacts the country's food security but also its economic stability, as agriculture accounts for nearly 1/3 of its GDP and 80% of its employment. The COVID-19 pandemic has added another layer of complexity to Malawi's economic woes. It has disrupted global supply chains, affecting the country's exports, and has put a strain on the already fragile healthcare system, further diverting resources from development to crisis management. The economic challenges faced by Malawi are multifaceted and deeply rooted, and while efforts are being made to address them, it's clear that the journey is far from over. The road to economic recovery for Malawi remains uncertain. In the heart of West Africa, Niger grapples with its own economic hurdles. Nestled amidst nations battling similar economic woes, Niger's plight is a complex interplay of corruption, a weak rule of law, and severe climate conditions. The nation's economy is in a constant tug-of-war with corruption. This widespread malaise eats into the economic fabric of the country, undermining growth and development. A weak rule of law further exacerbates the situation. Without a robust legal framework, corruption thrives and economic progress is stymied, But the trials of Niger don't stop at human-made issues. The nation is also at the mercy of Mother Nature. Niger's arid climate and frequent droughts pose a significant challenge to agriculture, a sector that serves as the backbone of its economy. The combination of these factors puts a severe strain on Niger's economy, leaving its people to grapple with chronic poverty and insecurity. Niger's journey towards economic stability is fraught with obstacles. Mozambique, a coastal nation in southeastern Africa, is another country facing substantial economic hardships. This beautiful land, with its expansive coastline and rich culture, unfortunately grapples with numerous adversities that hinder its economic progression. The country has been marred by civil unrest for many years, which has led to instability and hindered development. This issue has been compounded by corruption, a problem that has left many of Mozambique's citizens in a state of poverty and economic despair. The COVID-19 pandemic has added another layer of complexity to Mozambique's challenges, exacerbating the country's already strained economic situation. It has reversed strides made in poverty reduction, pushing many people into extreme poverty and causing widespread food insecurity. Moreover, the country's geographical location, prone to severe climate conditions, adds to its troubles, resulting in devastating effects on agriculture, a key sector of Mozambique's economy. The path to economic prosperity for Mozambique appears to be a long one. It's a journey that requires not just internal reform and stability, but also global support and understanding. The Democratic Republic of Congo, located in Central Africa, is a nation battling severe economic difficulties. This vast country, rich in natural resources, is ironically one of the poorest in the world. Its economic woes are due largely to a combination of civil wars, corruption, and severe climate conditions. Civil wars have ravaged the DRC, disrupting economic activities and stunting development. The scars of war still run deep, with the country's infrastructure severely damaged and millions displaced from their homes. Corruption is another key factor. It's a malignant force that eats into the country's wealth, diverting resources away from critical sectors like education and health. Severe climate conditions, such as frequent floods and droughts, further exacerbate the situation. They disrupt agricultural production, a key economic driver in the DRC, leading to food insecurity and increasing the vulnerability of many Congolese. The COVID-19 pandemic has also had its toll, reversing some of the progress made in reducing extreme poverty. It's estimated that millions have slid back into extreme poverty since the onset of the pandemic. DRC's journey towards economic stability remains an uphill battle, but with concerted efforts from both the government and international community, there's hope that the tide can be turned. In the Horn of Africa, Somalia wrestles with its own economic hurdles. This nation, rich in culture and history, finds itself grappling with the harsh realities of corruption, civil unrest, and a lackluster rule of law. These elements have combined to create a volatile economic landscape that pushes the resilience of the Somali people to its limits. The COVID-19 pandemic has thrown yet another wrench into Somalia's struggle for stability. As the world reels from the virus's impact, Somalia has faced its own unique challenges. The pandemic has amplified existing inequalities, pushing an estimated 198 million people into extreme poverty globally since its onset, and Somalia has not been spared. Corruption remains a deeply rooted issue, exacerbating the nation's economic woes and hindering progress. It's a persistent obstacle that the Somali government must tackle head-on, despite the complexities and potential backlash. Civil unrest, too, has played a significant role in Somalia's economic struggles. Constant social tensions and conflicts create an environment of instability, discouraging both local and foreign investments and limiting economic growth. Somalia's road to economic recovery seems to be a long and winding one. Burundi, a landlocked country in East Africa, is grappling with significant economic challenges. This nation, nestled in the heart of Africa, faces a multitude of complex issues that have impeded its economic progress. Civil unrest has been a persistent thorn in the side of Burundi, creating an unstable environment that's detrimental to growth and development. Corruption, too, has played a significant role in Burundi's economic trials. It has eroded trust in institutions, hindered effective governance, and drained resources that could otherwise be used to uplift the country's economic standing. Adding to these are the severe climate conditions Burundi grapples with. As a predominantly agricultural economy, Burundi is at the mercy of the elements. Unpredictable weather patterns, droughts, and floods have a profound impact on crop yields, affecting food security and the livelihoods of many. The journey towards economic stability for Burundi remains fraught with obstacles. South Sudan, the youngest nation in the world, is facing substantial economic hardships. Born into conflict and corruption, this fledgling nation has struggled to find its footing since its inception. The rampant civil wars have led to not only loss of life, but also a severe disruption of the economy. The constant state of turmoil has deterred foreign investments and crippled the country's potential for economic growth. Adding to this, the widespread corruption has resulted in a weak rule of law, further destabilizing the economic environment. The resources of the nation are exploited rather than being used for development, creating a vicious cycle of poverty and corruption. The COVID-19 pandemic has only exacerbated South Sudan's economic woes. It has reversed any progress made in reducing extreme poverty, plunging millions into dire conditions. The pandemic has not only posed a health crisis but also a significant economic setback, causing food insecurity and further poverty. The path to economic prosperity for South Sudan appears to be a steep and rocky one. Lastly, we have the Central African Republic, a nation battling severe economic difficulties. This landlocked country sits in the heart of Africa, but it's far from being at the heart of prosperity. Instead, it's caught in a vicious cycle of civil wars, corruption, and severe climate conditions. A maelstrom that leaves little room for economic growth or stability. Civil wars, with their devastating and long-lasting effects, have taken a significant toll on the country's economy. They disrupt trade, destroy infrastructure, and displace people, all of which have a direct impact on the economic health of the nation. Moreover, corruption has eroded the trust in public institutions and diverted resources away from much-needed development projects. It's like a termite infestation, eating away at the economic foundations of the country from the inside. And let's not forget the severe climate conditions. Droughts and floods not only lead to crop failures and food insecurity, but they also disrupt livelihoods and exacerbate poverty. In the face of these enormous challenges, the Central African Republic is like a boxer in the ring, taking hit after hit but refusing to go down. The resilience of its people is inspiring, but the road to economic recovery remains steep and fraught with obstacles. CAR's journey towards economic stability remains an uphill battle. As we have seen, each of these countries faces unique challenges on their path to economic stability. From the civil unrest in Liberia, the ethnic strife in Chad, to the severe climate conditions in Malawi, each nation grapples with its own set of difficulties. The economic woes of Niger and Mozambique are further compounded by corrupt governments, while the Democratic Republic of Congo, Somalia, and Burundi struggle against the aftermath of exploitative colonization and weak rule of law. South Sudan and the Central African Republic, despite being rich in resources, are crippled by war and social unrest. The COVID-19 pandemic has only added fuel to the fire, reversing progress and pushing an estimated 198 million people into extreme poverty. This is a stark reminder that the fight against global poverty is far from over. The road to economic prosperity is a long one, but with the right policies and international support, these nations can surely overcome their challenges.